We're here, we're live, and we're previewing Game 2 of the division series between your Yankees and the Royals.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm one of your hosts, Stacey Gotsoulias. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. With me as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, you getting ready for tonight?
Where's the blood pressure at?
We have a blood pressure monitor in the house because of my mom and her issues. So I should find it and see what mine is during the game and let you all know what it is.
I'd be intrigued.
Yeah, because I was feeling good this morning and now I'm starting to get nervous again. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like the videos, hit the bell so you're notified when those videos go live. So today's show. Segment 3 is up in the air. We don't really know what's going on, but you guys are here, so we'll look at some comments and chat with you about everything that's going on. We're going to talk about the Mets, Phillies, Padres, Dodgers, because those games were insane on Sunday. And obviously, we're going to begin the show with previewing Game 2. We're here, Game 2, with the day off in between that felt like it was 3 days long.
Yeah, it felt long because they weren't the team that was playing their Game 2 right after Game 1. So you really have time to let Game 1 kind of marinate and sit inside of you. And definitely the biggest start of Rodon's career coming up, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. Definitely Carlos Rodón. You know, the reason you get paid that gobs of money and the reason why the Yankees were after him that entire free agency and the reason why they puckered up and gave him all the money is for starts like this. Is so he goes 6 innings of 1-run ball, of 8 strikeouts, and really shuts the Royals down. Now, past evidence of this year shows that he should be able to shut the Royals down, but who the heck knows? Because Carlos Rodon's story as a Yankee has pretty much been, what Carlos Rodon are you going to get? And
right.
This year, he's been really, really solid, and I think his numbers don't tell the true story because he has 3 or 4 really bad starts that mask all the really good that he did.
Right.
Still, though, Carlos Rodon is always susceptible to that clunker, and you just can't let it happen tonight.
No. And it seemed like those bad starts were mostly clumped together because, he started off the year really well. The first game that he pitched against Kansas City on June 10th, he was 8-2 going into the game, and 9-2 after the game because he pitched 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, only 1 run, didn't walk anyone, 3 Ks. So a lot of contact, but nothing doing for
You do that
Kansas
tonight,
City.
They'll love you.
Right. He also pitched against Kansas City on September 9th in that weekend series when Kansas City came here. And it was 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, but 2 were earned. And they were both solo home runs. He was hurt by sloppy defense, but 1 walk, 9 Ks in that start. So both starts strong, 6 innings, 2 runs, 9 Ks. You would take that every time out from Carlos Rodon if you could get it. Sal Perez, of course, was one of the guys who hit the solo home run off Rodon on September 9th because, of course, he was.
Yeah, he's a Yankee killer. And then going up against Cole Ragans tonight is going to be really tough. One of the top pitchers in the American League this year. The Royals are built on strong defense and especially strong strong pitching, especially strong left-handed pitching, which is particularly what the Yankees struggle against. So this is one of those games that I'm a little nervous going into just because the Royals kind of have the map tonight for a game that the Yankees lose. But those are the games you got to win. So, this is the time of year when you got to be able to buck the trend on when teams are going to attack you with things that they know are your weakness. And there is definitely a portfolio large enough at this point to tell what weaknesses are for what teams. And The Yankees, it's already obvious, is left-handed pitching. So if you're the Royals, you're going to throw the lefties out there, and if you're the Yankees, go beat them. That really is that is the evidence right there.
that time that Reagan started against the Yankees on September 11th, he went 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 walks, 7 Ks. Soto hit a home run off him, a 2-run home run. So the key is the left-handed batters getting to him and then getting to the bullpen and winning the game because they walked off in that game. So that was the extra inning game, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. Bobby Witt made the throw, was wide. Yankees win. So what are the keys to winning game 2?
Base runners. Clearly the Royals, they'll throw the ball around. They'll make mistakes out there if you force them to. I don't hate aggressive play out there. I think it's kind of with a young team like the Royals, it's good to be a little extra aggressive and make them make plays, right? It's a classic baseball term, but it really is the key. And I want to bring up a quote that Derek Jeter gave on a post game of the first game. It's not a terrible sign that Aaron Judge didn't hit in game 1, didn't do anything, because it meant that the rest of the team had to get involved. And the fact that the rest of the team did get involved and did do things, and the other, like Derek Jeter's point was the right point. Judge is going to have his moment. He is. Yeah. He's too good of a player to not. He's going to have his time. But the key is it's baseball, right? And I know this time of year, every game is so magnified that Judge gives you an 0 for 5 in a game and we all freak out and lose our minds because, this game is so magnified. But Judge can give you an 0 for 5 on July 6th and no one talks about it. No one cares. No one notices it because that's 1 of 162. These games are more magnified, unfortunately. So this is going to happen. Like, he's going to have games, but the problem is in the postseason, you need your other guys to pick your team up when Judge doesn't have a great game. Soto could easily go 0 for 4 tonight. Now, it's a rarity more when Soto does it, but Soto could still go 0 for 4 tonight. It could happen to anyone out there. Like, anyone can have a bad game. So you need the rest of your team to pick you up. And Derek Jeter made a great point on the postgame saying, Gleyber Torres had a great game. Verdugo had a great game. You need that kind of, I guess, supplemental offense to pick yourselves up when your stars aren't doing anything. Because
what's the biggest knock against the Yankees this season? They only have 2 hitters.
Yep. They proved that completely opposite the other night.
And we'll get into it later in the show, but what happened in Los Angeles on Sunday night? Mookie goes 0 for, Shohei Ohtani goes 0 for, and the Padres beat up on the Dodgers. So it happens to every team. And as long as the other guys are hitting, if the Yankees are winning and Aaron Judge doesn't do anything, I actually feel better that way because of what everyone says about them. Yeah. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you can have the confidence to know that at some point Aaron Judge is going to come through.
Yeah.
Like, at some point he's going to have it because he's done it his whole career. The point that you were making earlier in the postseason, and it is true, is you need him to get in one of those rhythms like now. Because he can carry you for 2-3 weeks. He can. But you need him to get in one of those rhythms, because if he doesn't find one of those rhythms throughout the postseason, then you could be out of the playoffs before you even realize it.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't help that the rhythm's going to be broken up by off days every other day.
Yep.
So get to Ragans. If you can't get to him, get to the bullpen. Rodón needs to shove. Just pitch the way you pitched the 2 starts previously against them. Just look at the film from those 2 starts and do the same thing that you did. Because like I said, in that second game, he was hurt by the defense. And yes, our solo home run's not great yet, but it always seems to be solo home runs with him. So it'll be fine. So relatively successful against Kansas City in his 2 starts. So that makes me feel better going into tonight's game. But again, if you can get contributions from everyone, and let's not forget, Garrett Cole didn't pitch the game of his life either. So the fact that Judge did nothing on Saturday and Cole didn't look like himself and they still won this game is a really good sign, because a lot of people were being too negative about it. And it's like, yeah, those guys will get better. Things will be better if Cole pitches again and Judge starts to hit, or even gets even if he gets 1 home run, he goes 1 for 4. That'll make me feel better than, I don't think Cole was terrible. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't Garrett Cole. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't Garrett Cole, which is a hard thing to match usually. But yeah, that's what star players do, right? Like, star players like I attribute it more to Juan Soto than Aaron Judge, because even though Judge is like this too, but Juan Soto affects the game more than when he's giving you power, right? There's so much more that he does when he gets consistent at bats, and Garrett Cole's the exact same way. He can give you 6 innings of 2-run ball and bulldog his way through a start without giving you 8 innings of 1 hit like Garrett Cole can do. So you're going to do that to Rodón. If Rodón doesn't have his stuff tonight, he's got to shove, right? Give you 5 innings, 2 runs, and just keep it at bay so the offense can get going. That's what starters do. You have to do that.
Right. And if Rodón doesn't shove, you're going to see either Clark Schmidt or Luis Heel. And out of those 2 people, whoever isn't in the game tonight, if Rodón has issues, will be pitching game 3.
Yep. So and you don't want to screw your team that way either.
No. One last thing. Rylan Stiles, the host of Locked On Thunder, is a big Royals fan, and he DM'd me and said, all I ask, Chase, is you let the Royals get 1, please, no sweep. I said, I have no control over that. So
I don't want to give him his wishes.
Yeah, no, I would prefer the Yankees to win tonight and go into KC up 2-0, because then the pressure is off because you just have to win one of those 2 games. If you go in 1-1 going to Kansas City, it's a little more of a uphill climb. I still wouldn't be terrified, but it would make me feel better if the Yankees were going in there up 2-0. But we'll see. And bring them good luck when you get there, please.
I'll try.
Yes.
I'll do what I can.
Okay. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. Also, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday, or in this week, Saturday through Thursday, if you want your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday. Or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, game reactions. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, we're going to discuss those crazy other division series games because they were a lot of fun. Okay, so for most of us who like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Stephen Curry rookie card just isn't in the cards. If you like collecting, that is serious money to drop. Thanks to slap packs from Arena Club, it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Now, that rookie card that I just mentioned from Stephen Curry, it was a hit in the slap pack drop. If you go to Arena Club, you see it on the main page. It is literally a fraction of what you think you would pay for it. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. So basically, you go to the site and you see all your cards. The grading process is accurate, fast, transparent, with a full grade rationale provided and explanation of how your card was scored. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you have to check out. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb, code LOCKEDONMLB for 10% off your first purchase. Don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. I apologize for my voice going in and out. I don't know what is happening right now. I wasn't screaming watching any of the games on TV yesterday. So, maybe the Giants. Maybe when they scored that last second touchdown, I yelled a little bit in my house. But so let's discuss the 2 games on Sunday. Now, I will admit, I was watching Red Zone for the first part of the day. Red Zone is fantastic. I love watching.
It's one of the top 5 inventions of all time.
Yes, I actually said that on Twitter. I said, this is one of the best things ever invented. It is
right
so
behind
great.
The wheel.
Yeah,
right behind the wheel.
So great. I know they can't do that with baseball because it would be impossible with all the whole season. You know, with Red Zone, you have 1 game a week or 1 day a week where you can do that. But if they had something like that and there were multiple playoff games going on at the same time and you just see the highlights, that would be pretty awesome. So Mets Phillies. The Mets just don't die.
They're incredible.
God.
We had the 2 TV setup going on in where I was watching, and which is a must. If you need a minimum of 2 televisions, especially this is the best time of year. There's no question about it. Like if you're a sports fan, you're in handle all your big business the end of September. Break up with your girlfriend, anything dramatic that has to happen, let it happen at the end of September. So you're distracted the entire month of October because there is something going. The Rangers open their season up Wednesday night. Football's in full swing. Baseball's in the middle of its playoffs. Basketball starts in 2 weeks. It's all happening right now. If you watch that Mets game and you could be the biggest Met hater of all time. If you aren't merely entertained by that game, you're out of your mind. You have to sit there and admit that this Mets team has some kind of weird mojo kind of magic going on with them. It makes no sense. I can't explain it. I've never seen heroics like this before. And they just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. The game got tied originally, and then Phillies took the lead, came all the way back, and then Vientos with the home run in the 9th inning. It is unbelievable. And I will say this because I will mention this every time this player is brought up, and I'll hate it even more if the Yankees want to play them in the World Series. The fact that the Yankees didn't wind up with Bryce Harper will always upset me. It will always anger me. The fact that they had money that offseason and they just decided to not spend it will forever bother me because he would have been an outstanding Yankee and he wanted to be a Yankee. So it'll always bother me because if you watched that game yesterday and you saw Harper hit that ball, and again, you could be the biggest Met fan in the world, you'd have to admit that Harper swing, he has such a sweet stroke. He has one of the most beautiful baseball swings you've ever seen. And that woke the whole crowd up. I hope Yankee Stadium is somewhat like that tonight.
Yeah. He did really, because that crowd was dead.
Yeah.
They were booing them. They were so angry, and they were woken up by that home run. Castellanos also hitting right after. So that really woke them up. But the Vientos second home run, because he hit the first one to put them up.
Yeah.
I called it on Twitter because I said, this is where the Mets tie the game, right? Because I just knew it. And as soon as he came up, I thought to myself, it's going to be him. It has to be him.
Off Matt Strom, who's been so good all year.
And it wasn't a bad pitch. It was literally like up here, and he just swung it high. Like Strom shouldn't even feel bad about that because Vientos is just on a roll right now, and anyone could pitch to him and he'd hit a home run off them. And I felt bad for Strom because I was like, yeah, that wasn't a bad pitch at all. It's just the way the Mets are. And if the game were played in Citi Field and the Mets had the last at bat, they would have walked that game off.
It's so hard as a baseball analyst, I guess if you want to call us, determining who's going to win this series because you look at the Phillies and the talent is there, right? They're superiorly, I guess that's a word, more talented than the Mets. They are. I don't think there's a question to it. And the Mets are already behind going into the rest of the series, right? Because in Game 3 at Citi Field, you get Aaron Nola on the mound, who's one of the better pitchers in all of baseball. And then in Game 4, the Phillies are going to throw Ranger Suarez out there, who's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. And then Game 5, they're going to have Wheeler available. So in reality, they're set up. They won the Game 2 with their worst starter on the mound, who's not even bad. The Phillies are far more talented, but the Mets just have that. They've got that thing going it's hard to explain, but there are teams like last year, the Diamondbacks had it and the Rangers had it. It's really hard to explain, but these teams wind up winning games. They don't deserve to win. They wind up sticking around long enough. They get big hits at right times. I still can't picture the Mets winning this series just because I think the Phillies are so much more of a bit. The Phillies didn't get nervous yesterday. They didn't panic at all. No, it has a lot to do with them. They're down 3-0. Has a lot to do with them, been there, done that the last couple of postseasons. They did not panic late in that game, whereas the fan base was panicking, and I think the Mets would have been panicking if they were down like that. So it is a weird thing, but Stacey, there is something weird about this Mets team. There really is.
Yeah, I feel like the Phillies can win this series, but it also feels like the Mets could beat the 98 Yankees at this point with the It's just every time you think they're out, they're not. And they just have that mojo going, and it's quite
You got to watch every pitch of this series because you never know when it's going to turn, which is great for the sport. Both New York teams are involved in could be awesome playoff runs. The Mets one is a little more unexpected, but I mean, holy cow, was that game incredible. And then Padres-Dodgers, if you stuck around for the late slate, another just outrageous game between two teams and I think two fan bases that really don't like each other.
They do not like each other. You know, Derek Jeter in the post game was like, yeah, this felt like Red Sox Yankees from when we used to play when we actually disliked each other. That's exactly what it felt like. You know, it was another crazy game, but for different reasons. It's like you said, it's chippy between those two teams. They're constantly yelling at each other and taunting. I have to say the Profar thing was so funny, but if it happened to me as a fan, I'd be angry about it. But as a neutral fan, I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Really.
What an incredible play. When you watch the replay, I still didn't think he caught it. Like, what an incredible play.
I mean, Mookie was like almost to third before he knew that it wasn't a home run. And they played the, you know, the effects and they had the music and everything else. And oh man, that was.
He hit the bleep out of that ball. And so did Tatis earlier in the top of the first. Yeah. He hit the crap out of that ball too. I mean, they just both of these teams are so good. I think the Padres are winning this series. I do.
I think so too. I feel like they have the momentum. Wait, we can't talk about this game without talking about the job that Yu Darvish did, especially after that delay of game. It was nearly like 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes where they were trying to figure out what was going on with the fans throwing things on the field. Yeah. And it was pretty late in his start where you thought, oh, if he's sitting around, you might have to pull. And he came out and was like, it's fine.
He's another guy though. Bulldog, been there, done that. Yeah. He has this attitude. He don't care. Like, he's just going to go out there and pitch. And
Ohtani cannot hit him. Ohtani looks silly against Darvish.
Apparently he's had his number since back in Japan. He's always had Ohtani's number. Yeah. And Yu Darvish has weirdly, because he's been in so many different places and he's been around for a while now. He's put together a really nice major league career. Like a really, really nice major league career. If you look at his numbers over the years, the consistency, the big games that he's pitched in, he's really put together a really nice major league career. And the Dodgers are really strapped for starting pitching right now. They really are, especially with Flaherty and Yamamoto gone in the series now.
I will say the jawing was amusing to watch, but also the way the Padres started launching home runs after Manny pulled them all together and said whatever he said to them in the dugout was just amazing to me. Kyle Higashioka again. I mean, it was a garbage time home run, but hey, it's another home run in the playoffs for Kyle Higashioka.
Currently, this won't last, I doubt it, but currently has the highest OPS in National League postseason history. Now, it obviously there needs to be a lineation when it comes to these a line of demarcation when it comes to these kind of stats, because Kyle Higashioka has about 10 career National League postseason at-bats.
Right.
But still, really funny. So we'll see. First real big leadership moment you've seen out of Manny Machado, though. Yeah. I've had a lot of those in his career.
Yeah, it's something to watch these two teams. This is the kind of series you like seeing, because the Mets and Phillies are rivals too, but they're not jawing at each other. They're just fighting.
No, it's more the cities and the fan bases who hate each other more.
Yeah, where Padres Dodgers feels like an old school. Teams don't like each other. You could see something happen kind of thing, because I don't think this will blow over, and I think it might get crazier once they go to San Diego, and
and there's videos coming out of the fans fighting in the stands too. So I mean, the fan bases and the teams don't like each other.
Yeah. So it feels like old school Yankees, Red Sox, Royals, Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees from the 70s, Red Sox, Yankees from 20 years ago. Like, not even the 70s and 80s, but 20 years ago. So that'll be an intriguing matchup to watch. I mean, both of them are. I'm actually enjoying the NL division series again, because I don't have a rooting interest in either of these series. I'm kind of
much more fun to watch that way, though.
Yeah, I mean, I am kind of pulling for the Padres just because no offense to my Dodger fan friends, but I think it'd be amusing after spending all that money and getting Ohtani that they get bounced in the division series again.
That is kind of cruel.
Yeah, I know. It's mean of me.
I will say, I called my best friend right after the Mets game ended, because he's a diehard Met fan. And I immediately said to him, like, oh, this is one of these series that I personally, as a Yankee fan, love watching as a baseball fan. And he's just like on pins and needles in a pool of his own sweat. Like, oh, I hated every second of that. It really is. It is so hard being like a passionate sports fan to this level of liking a team, because there's no easy way of watching it. You know what I mean? When you don't have a rooting interest, it's so much more fun.
Yep. That's why last season was so good for me, because having basically the whole month of October off and just watching all these other teams, fan bases go crazy. I was like, yeah, now you know how I felt for how many years in a row. So
tough.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next. I don't know. What are we doing next?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. It's a live show, so we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants.
This episode of Locked On Yankees is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn about. Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, and Missouri, but you can visit Kansas City, Missouri, not in Kansas. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball team's rival city during the postseason. You could still get to Kansas City if you really want to. But here's the other thing, right? You have a chance to get out to all the other major league cities, right? Maybe book your stay in Philadelphia. What about Queens? You could stay there if you really want to. There's plenty. You can get out to LA at some point, maybe even San Diego. Let's hope the Yankees make a run, and you can use Booking.com to make your perfect World Series trip. And no matter what team you're rooting for this postseason, Booking.com can make you a fan of any U.S. city. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com has so many choices across the United States. The right state can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. And Locked On Yankees is also brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start this season off with a big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And guys, like I said earlier in the show, this is the most wonderful time of the year. You can bet every single sport, all of them available on FanDuel, but every sport is in action starting 2 weeks from now. Basketball will be back, NBA, right? The end of the month, college basketball will be back. NHL hockey is back on Tuesday already. NFL football's in full swing. College football's in full swing. Baseball playoffs are on. Everything is on right now, and you can bet all of it on FanDuel, from futures to in-game betting to live betting. They have all of it. And if you sign up right now, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. It's guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees.
I just thought of something. Another key to tonight's game.
Let's hear it.
Keeping Bobby Witt off the bases and keeping
how about
him hitless.
Making the Royals? How about the Royals just sit Bobby Witt for the day, get him some rest? All right, he's young. I'd appreciate that. Are you into the Major League Baseball postseason apparel that they come out with every year? There's another new catchphrase on a hoodie the next year. Are you into that or no?
No, because everything's too expensive.
I loved the 2017 one. I had that one.
That was a good one.
Yeah, and this year I actually like this year's a lot. The October Ready one with the Yankee symbol on it. But the problem is they're very hard to find because the shops on River Avenue sell out immediately.
Right.
And I'm not buying the hoodie in Yankee Stadium because it's like $160 inside.
So expensive.
Yeah, it's very, very challenging. I'm just kind of like in that mode right now where I'm trying to consider what I want to wear tonight, because I'm going to be wearing a Yankee jersey, but do I bring the hoodie in or not? Because I also want to feel the cold air. Like I like that cold air feel at a playoff game.
Yeah.
It's very challenging. What to wear to postseason games is very challenging.
Yeah, I had a streak there for a while because I was so superstitious that if I went to the first round and they won when I was wearing what I was wearing, I would wear the same exact thing, not the underwear, but everything else the same exact from head to toe to keep the streak going. And none of it was ever Yankee stuff, ever.
Oh, really?
Because sometimes I would go after work if it was a night game on a weekday.
Clothing on?
So I would have semi-professional clothing on. The first couple of years I worked, I did wear suits and stuff, and then it got a little more relaxed and I didn't have to wear suits, so like cardigan, dress pants, whatever. But then I'd end up having to wear that to every game if they won the first round.
Did it work? It
worked. For some of
them,
World
Series those years, so nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, or even if they didn't win World Series, or even if they didn't advance out of the division series, they usually won the games I went to. So, yeah.
My sister years ago got me the Yankees 4th of July hat for 2018, I believe. And no, 2017. And I wore it that was the first year I had season tickets, and I wore it every game I went to, and they won. They were like 10-0 going into the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wore it I went to every Yankee home playoff game in 2017. Every single one. They won every single home playoff game that year with me wearing that hat. So that hat wound up being 18-0 before they actually lost the game. And the first game they lost was the elimination game against the Red Sox the next year in the postseason in 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In 2001, I went to game 2 against Oakland. They lost that night. I was wearing all Yankee stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
My dad called me up the day of game 5 and said, "Do you want to go to the game? I can get us tickets." And for 2 seconds, I thought,
yes,
do I want to be at a possible elimination game? Do I want to be crying in Yankee Stadium, like in case they lose?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, I'll go. Why not? But I went wearing my work clothes. They ended up winning that game. I go to game 4 against Seattle in the ALCS. I don't wear the same exact outfit, but there was a sweater coat that I wore the first time, and I wore that to game 4 against Seattle. Soriano walked off. Wore it to game 4 against the Diamondbacks. Tino ties it. Jeter walked off. So that sweater coat was good luck for me and the Yankees.
I have never seen a playoff walk-off. The best playoff game that I've been to is definitely that Astros game 4 with the comeback. That was unbelievable. Never seen a playoff walk-off. And I've been to a good amount of playoff games at this point now, because I went to every game in 17. I went to 2 in 18. I went to a couple in 19. So I've been to a lot of playoff games now. And I've not seen a walk-off yet.
I told this story, but I'll tell it again. My first playoff walk-off was a hit. It was Jose Vizcaíno in game 1 against the Mets. That game that Soriano walked off in the ALCS in 01, I'm not even kidding. I said to my brother, I've never seen a walk-off home run in the playoffs in person. I want to see one. The next pitch, he hit the home run. And I started laughing. I couldn't even cheer because I was laughing so hard, because I basically willed it into existence. And then the next game I go to is game 4 of the World Series. Tino ties it, and then Jeter hits a walk-off home run. And then I'm thinking to myself, am I ever not going to see a walk-off home run in the playoffs? I went from none to 2 games in a row that I attended.
There is nothing like the atmosphere in the Bronx during these playoff games, though. There really isn't. It's electric. If you guys can get out to a game, all the listeners that we have out there, do it. It's worth stretching or extending those credit card payments a little bit.
All right, I had to bring this up. Judge reminds me of Mr. A-Rod in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Mr. A-Rod is the reason that they won in 09. Let's not forget that, because if A-Rod didn't do what he did in the division series and the CS, that World Series may not have happened.
I also love this question from Jared, and I don't know if he's being rhetorical or not, but let's say that he is for the sake of the argument. A-Rod, if you look at I'm trying to get rid of it and it won't go away. So if you can, okay, it went away. A-Rod, if you look at A-Rod's career numbers in the postseason, they're not bad.
No.
He got a bad rap for being a hitter in the playoffs because the Yankees didn't win World Series with him, as if that's his fault.
Right. Oh, no, it was all his fault because of the money and because of the trade and what they did. It was always A-Rod's fault, even if he didn't have fault. The 05 division series was not A-Rod's fault.
No,
it was not. It was Sheffield. It was Matsui. No one was hitting in that series. It wasn't just A-Rod.
Go look at what A-Rod did in that 05 season. And tell me that it was his fault. Are you going to do the same thing if they lose this series to Judge? And I'm going to say the same thing because, Mario, I don't know how Judge does remind you of A-Rod in the postseason. Because, yes, has Judge struggled of late in the playoffs? Sure. Judge also has some massive home runs in the playoffs. Let's not forget that. Do you remember Game 7 in Houston in 2019? Judge in the first inning hit a home run. In Houston, on the road, off of Justin Verlander, hit a home run straight away center field. And he also was a major part of that comeback game in 2017. So it's not like he hit that home run in the first inning of the 2018 wildcard game against Oakland. There's been some pretty big hits that Judge has had in the postseason. It just feels like of late, every time he comes up with the bases loaded or 2 men on, he winds up not coming through. That does happen. But A-Rod has always gotten a bad rap for being a bad postseason player, which, again, like you said, they don't win the World Series in 2009 without him. They don't. He had massive, massive hits in that series. But not only that, A-Rod's numbers in the postseason prior were not bad. And he went into all those series. The Yankees are in the postseason a lot of those years because of A-Rod's contribution. And you can even say the Yankees might be in the postseason this year because of Aaron Judge's contribution. So let's not forget what they did for 162 to get the team to where they are right now. That quote on A-Rod has never been fair. And Yankee fans attached him with a playoff failure because, Derek Jeter was on those teams too, and they didn't win World Series. But Derek Jeter won those 4 and 5 years, so he gets a pass, right? If A-Rod were on those 90s teams, you don't think they would have won the World Series? They would have. And then A-Rod would never be lauded as this playoff failure. It never made any sense to me because as a kid, I would hear all this about A-Rod can't hit in the postseason. I would look back at the stats. He didn't have bad postseasons.
Right.
He didn't. Like, he
just got pretty bad
win.
postseason numbers in certain series, Tino Martinez, but he hit 2 of the biggest home runs in Yankees history.
And it's completely forgotten
gets about. Overlooked.
You know who had really bad postseason numbers too? Really bad postseason numbers too, and then had an amazing Game 6, and it's all forgotten. Hideki Matsui was an awful postseason performer, and then in 2009 he has 6 RBIs in Game 6 of the World Series, and it's all forgotten. So, A-Rod, my point is, all of it should be forgotten on Alex Rodriguez. All of it. And you can bring up this point all you want because his batting average is 208, but his postseason on base percentage is 380. But let's conveniently forget that. We're only going to use the stats to give us the narrative that we want. Let's also say, though, his batting average might be 208 right now. Judge walks it off tonight. You'll all forget that. And you won't care what his batting average is.
Yeah. I want him to walk it off for you because you haven't seen a postseason walk off. So let's put that into the universe. Or at least a postseason walk-off. Maybe Soto does it. Maybe Anthony Volpe does it. Maybe Alex Verdugo does it.
I want a Jazz Chisholm walk-off.
Oh, that would be good. That would be good. Yeah. So, okay, like I said earlier, Rodón needs to shove. They need to keep Bobby Witt off the bases. They need to prevent Sal Perez from running around the bases. So annoying. He feels like he's been playing for 20 years. He's only 34. I legitimately thought that man was 40. And when I looked up his age earlier in the season, I thought to myself, am I thinking of a different Sal Perez? Why does it feel like he's been playing for 20 years? He's only 34. Anyway, so keep him from running the bases. Rodón, 6 innings, dude, my dude, just 6 innings. And if you do give up runs, give up the minimal, like 2. And Yankees, if you can't get to Ragans, try to get to the bullpen.
Good advice.
They're not listening to me, but
try to win.
Just try to win. Please just try to win. All right. That'll do it for this live edition. Now, note, Brian's going to the game tonight. He will be doing pregame short on YouTube to watch it.
Yep.
He'll be doing a postgame short on YouTube, so watch that as well. And we will be doing the the postgame show when Brian gets home from Yankee Stadium, which might be midnight, which is fine because that's usually when our episodes go up. So I will put the link in YouTube. The time may change depending on when Brian gets home, just to give you a note as to what's happening tonight. All right. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully. He has it covered every single day. The link to Locked On MLB is in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you check out the Locked On Yankees postcast right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed, as well as streaming on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. And again, check YouTube tonight to see when we're going live and join us if you can. Hopefully it'll be a celebratory live show. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you after the win.